Richard Steele. He is a legend in the ring, but not the one throwing punches. If boxing had a calm, cool, no-drama referee who quietly earned everyone's respect, that would be Richard Steele. Born in sunny Los Angeles back in 1944, this guy started his journey not in a boxing ring, but as a U.S. Marine. Yeah, tough from day one. Fast forward to 1966, and he steps into the world of amateur boxing, and guess what? He trained at the famous Reseda Boxing Gym in California with none other than Muhammad Ali. Yeah, legendary boxer Muhammad Ali. Hanging with the greatest definitely helps Steele soak up what it really takes to survive in the ring, and not just physically, but mentally too. By 1972, he flipped roles and picked up the whistle, metaphorically. He became a referee, and not just any ordinary one. He quickly became the guy promoters called for the big high-stakes showdowns. Over time, Steele officiated more than 100 world title fights, earning him the nickname the Referee of Champions. Now, we can't talk about Steele without diving into the infamous 1990 showdown, Julio Cesar Chavez versus Meldrick Taylor. Steele stopped the fight with just a couple of seconds left in the final round because Taylor looked out of it. Some fans were livid, shouting too soon, while others were like, that was the right call. But Steele was as cool as ever. He stood firm and said, my job is to save lives, not watch the clock. After retiring from being a professional referee for like 3 decades, he became active in youth programs using boxing to teach kids about discipline and focus. In 2001, he opened the Richard Steele Boxing Club and Foundation in Las Vegas. His goal was simply to give young kids a safe, solid place to train, grow, and stay off the streets. And honestly, that's the kind of mindset we could all use a little more of. Today, he may be out of the ring, but he's still fighting just in a different way. Instead of watching over champions, he's now helping build them from the ground up. And let's be honest, anyone who can survive angry fans, last-second controversies, and still stand strong deserves more than just applause. My hat is off to you, Mr. Steele. Mitch Halpern. Some referees are remembered for hundreds of fights. Mitch Halpern is remembered for the way he handled just a few with his style and class. Born in 1967, many youngsters wanted to be professional athletes, but Halpern was different at a young age. After being trained and mentored by veteran boxing referee Richard Steele, he rose to the top as a world-class referee. The kind you'd always spot in the ring during the biggest, most iconic fights. But it wasn't just luck. He was there because he earned his place, like he belonged in those legendary moments, because he absolutely did. He became famous in the 1990s and quickly earned a reputation for being cool under pressure. He refereed major fights like the 1999 fight between Oscar De La Hoya and Felix Trinidad. And of course, the famous Tyson vs. Holyfield first match in 1996, but here's the twist. Halpern was originally picked to referee Tyson vs. Holyfield in 97 in their rematch, one of the craziest fights of the decade, which we've previously discussed in our videos. However, Tyson's camp didn't like the choice. They claimed Halpern was unfair in the past, even though there was no real evidence. So Halpern stepped aside on his own, and let's be real, that move spoke volumes. He clearly wasn't a guy looking for headlines or drama, and honestly, that decision earned him a ton of respect. I mean, how many referees would willingly walk away from the biggest spotlight in the sport just to keep things clean? That's like giving up a front row seat to your own blockbuster show and doing it with grace. Sadly, Mitch Halpern passed away on August 20th of 2000 at just 33 years old from self-inflicted harm. The news hit the boxing world hard, and fighters, fans, trainers, and even tough-as-nails promoters were shaken as everyone agreed that he was one of the best referees they'd ever worked with. Mitch Halpern may not have worked decades in the sport, but his impact was real. Kenny Bayless. Next up, we've got a referee who, the moment he steps into the ring, you know it's about to be a big-time fight. He's the one with that smooth, commanding voice who always says, "What I say, you must obey." Kenny Bayless was born in 1950 in Berkeley, California. Before boxing, he worked as a school teacher in Las Vegas, but his love for boxing pulled him in. He started helping the Nevada State Athletic Commission in 1982, and after years of learning, he became a professional referee in 1991. Since then, he's worked over 100 world title fights, which is more than some fans even watch in a lifetime. He's also been in the middle of some of the biggest boxing moments out there. including the massive showdown between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao in May of 2015, also known as the Fight of the Century. Fans were expecting fireworks, and while the fight didn't turn into an all-out brawl, Bayless kept it clean and totally under control, exactly what a top ref is supposed to do. He's actually been in the ring for quite a few of Mayweather's biggest matches. Then there was Canelo Alvarez versus Amir Khan in May of 2016, when Canelo delivered a knockout so sudden it left the crowd stunned. But Bayless didn't miss a beat and jumped in fast to protect Khan. Fast forward to February of 2020 and Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 2. Fury came in like a wrecking ball and dominated. Bayless called it off in the 7th after Wilder's corner threw in the towel, and just like that, it was over. Even in crazy moments, Bayless never shows panic. Some people sweat during interviews. Bayless doesn't even blink during brawls. He's still active today and known for being fair, respectful, and sharp. The kind of referee who never steals the spotlight but always has control. Jack Reiss. From firefighter to fight night, Jack Reiss made one of the most unexpected but perfect transitions in boxing. Before he ever stepped into the ring, he was battling real fires in Los Angeles, handling serious moments daily. That kind of pressure trains you differently, and when Reiss became a referee, he brought that energy with him. Jack Reiss was born in Brooklyn in 1956, and he spent almost 30 years serving as a Los Angeles City firefighter. He always had a love for boxing, and while still working as a firefighter, he began refereeing amateur bouts. But it was not just a side hobby, because Reiss studied the spot, trained hard, and earned his professional referee license in 1999. His early work quickly caught the attention of both fighters and promoters. But what really makes Jack Reiss stand out, and what fans genuinely love, is that he gets the fighters. He understands what they're going through in that ring, and that connection is what truly sets him apart. His big break came in major fights, but it was the 2018 Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder match that made him famous worldwide. It was a tense fight, but Reiss didn't panic and gave the boxers a chance to fight till the end. Reiss has been part of many world title matches. He is known for his quick response, detailed explanations, and ability to stay in control without making it about himself. He retired in August 2024 as a professional referee, but Reiss still trains upcoming referees and breaks down controversial calls with deep insight. Joe Cortez. I'm fair, but firm. Now, if you've watched boxing in the 90s or 2000s, you've probably heard this line. That's Joe Cortez, the referee with the cleanest voice, sharpest eyes. Joe was born on October 13, 1945 in New York City to Puerto Rican parents. Before he became a referee, he was actually a professional boxer, and well, he had a short career in the 1960s with a record of 10 wins and 1 loss. Not bad for a guy who'd end up keeping future champs in line. He became a professional boxing referee in 1977, and after that, Joe was everywhere. He officiated over 170 world title fights, which is a really amazing achievement. One of the standout fights he officiated was Oscar de la Hoya versus Julio Cesar Chavez 1 in 1996. Two absolute legends, one intense showdown, and Joe was right there in the middle of it, keeping it all in check. Mayweather versus Ricky Hatton in 2007, and if you remember that fight, Joe had his hands full as Floyd was smooth and Hatton tried to make it a street fight. Joe Cortez had a way of using just his voice to take control, and somehow the fighters listened. I mean, that's talent. In 2011, Joe Cortez was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, a deserving honor for a man who spent decades keeping some of the biggest fights in order. He retired in 2012, but he didn't leave boxing. He became a commentator and trainer, still wearing suits, just not in the ring. Steve Smoger. Now, previously we discussed referees who were quick to end fights with their decisions, but if there was one referee who really let fighters go to fight till the last, it was Steve Smoger. He was known for giving boxers every chance to stay in the fight. Some fans even joked that a fighter would need to bring a note from their doctor before Smoger would stop the match. But the truth was that he believed in giving boxers the respect to match it out, and with that, he gave us some of the best fights ever seen. Steve Smoger was born in 1943, and before stepping into the boxing ring, he was a municipal court judge, and he even served in the U.S. Air Force. He had discipline, confidence, and a real understanding of fairness. Smoger began his professional refereeing career in 1986 and worked until 2018, But what really stands out is that he had been there to referee in over 200 title fights, which is more than most referees can even dream of. He was the referee for Bernard Hopkins versus Felix Trinidad in 2001. That was the night Hopkins made an impact and shocked the boxing world, and Smoger was right there doing his job perfectly. In 2011, he was part of the super middleweight showdown between Andre Ward and Carl Froch. It was a technical, smart fight, and Smoger handled it like a pro, never taking away from the moment. Another reason Steve Smoger was one of the best referees was his calm behavior, without ever being a control freak. He let fighters fight and only stepped in when it truly mattered. That earned him the trust of the fighters, the respect of the fans, and a reputation as a true old-school ref in the best possible way. On June 14th of 2015, Steve Smoger was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, a proud and well-deserved moment for everyone who followed his journey. But sadly, on December 19th, 2022, he passed away. His legacy still echoes through every highlight reel, every unforgettable fight, and in the hearts of fans who remember those electric nights he helped shape. Arthur Mercante Sr. Now let's talk about a historical referee. Before microphones were clipped to shirts and ring walks had some party-style introductions, Arthur Mercante Sr. was already in the ring doing his job. Arthur Mercante Sr. was born in 1920. He served in the U.S. Navy during World War II and then turned to boxing after the war. He started his professional career as a referee in 1954, and talking about his first world title bout, well, that was just a little fight known as Floyd Patterson versus Ingemar Johansson II in 1960. Not bad for a debut. But that was just the beginning. He went on to referee some of the most legendary fights in history, including the fight of the century between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier in 1971 at Madison Square Garden. Millions watched this fight, and right in the center of the ring was Mercante. If you have seen that fight apart from the boxers, he was also professional in his own way. Like, he didn't get nervous because of the hype of the match, and he handled it like he'd done it 100 times before. Arthur Mercante Sr. worked well into his later years. Over his career, he participated in over 140 world title fights and was respected by every fighter who shared a ring with him. In 1995, he was also inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. After retiring in 2001, he often gave interviews and shared his stories while staying classy. He passed away on April 10th of 2010 at the age of 90, but his name still echoes whenever fans talk about the all-time greats. People loved seeing him in the ring, even when he was surrounded by legendary fighters. He was the referee during boxing's golden era, and his presence added something special to every fight he officiated. Mills Lane. Topping our list is the one and only Mills Lane, a man who wore many hats in his career. Not only was he a boxing champion, but he also lent his voice to cartoons, served as a judge, and of course made his mark as a legendary referee. And yes, this is Mills Lane we're talking about. He was born on November 12th of 1937 in Savannah, Georgia, USA. Mills didn't just jump into boxing, he built himself up through hard work. At an early age, he joined the U.S. Marines in 1956, and a few years later, in 1960, he became the NCAA welterweight boxing champion. After a short run as a professional boxer, he moved to become a professional referee in 1971. What made Mills Lane unique was not just his discipline, but how he handled intense movements. He was serious and always clear with his decisions. He didn't look for attention, but attention found him anyway. He became famous for saying, "Let's get it on!" before every fight, which became his signature line, and of course, fans waited to hear it. One of the most famous moments in boxing history happened on June 28, 1997. Mills was the referee for the rematch between Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, a legendary match where, in the third round, Tyson bit Holyfield's ear not once but twice. Mills paused the fight, spoke with the officials, and calmly disqualified Tyson. That's where his professionalism showed, and he handled it like someone who had already planned for the worst-case scenario. On November 6, 1998, Mills Lane retired from refereeing, but stayed active in other ways. He became a real judge and even hosted a courtroom TV show in 1998 called Judge Mills Lane. He also voiced himself as a cartoon referee in MTV's Celebrity Deathmatch, which made younger audiences remember his style in a fun way. Sadly, he passed away on December 6th of 2022 at the age of 85, and he is still widely remembered